Happy Wednesday, Cyclone Nation. Chris Williams and Austen Arnaud here at Mr. B Clothing, 1995 Northwest 86th Street in gorgeous Clive, Iowa. No Tim Sitzman today, but Austin is going to attempt to fill the role.
I kind of look like him.
You kind of look like him. I think Tim probably has you beat on the intelligence factor and overall knowledge of sports.
I got him beat on the beard.
You do have him beat on the beard. But we wish Tim to get well soon, and hopefully he'll be back here in the saddle here before too long. But awesome, man. I think we're going to get to football. We're going to get Austin's analysis here on one Brandon Weeden. We got to talk some hoops first. And last night, man, this is the problem I have with this game. I go back and I look at stats. Drake was 6 of 18 from three-point range. I don't even feel like Drake played that well in that basketball game, and that's what's the most troubling. You had an Iowa State team that looked lazy on defense at times. Fred Hoiberg said they lacked attention to detail. I think that was very obvious. And at the end of the day, they couldn't make a shot. They were missing bunnies, free throws, three-pointers, pretty much everything. Throw all that together, and when your defense is as lackluster as Iowa State's was, giving Drake those easy looks that they had in the second half specifically, that's a recipe for disaster on the road in college basketball.
I agree. The most discouraging thing, like you said, is that Drake didn't play a very good game. They turned it over more than we did, I believe.
They did. And rebounding was I think there was a one rebound advantage, give or take here and there.
That should never happen. We should dominate the glass against a team from the MVC. But I think Drake, they came out and they played their game and slowed us down, and that's what the deciding factor was. And I also believe that our on-ball defense has got to get better. We got to be able to guard the ball a lot better. So that's a couple things of many that went wrong last night.
Did I don't know if you got to check out the meltdown on CycloneFanatic.com.
I looked at it a little bit after the game.
What do you think? Overreaction? Do you think people are right on?
I'd say I'm trying to be somewhere in the middle, just because I think with the early game, I don't think you can still use the excuse that these guys have played together. They played together all year on the scout team last year, all summer and fall. But in the same sense, they are still getting used to each other. So it's hard to really say it's a complete meltdown and it's an MVC team, and it's a respectable team. Drake's a good team. Phelps does a great job with the players that he's got.
It's a totally different deal playing in the Capital City League with these guys or going over to Italy.
Exactly.
As opposed to playing other Division I basketball players who are out to beat you.
Right.
And I think, too, at the end of the day, you have to realize Chris Allen went 0 for 7 from three-point range. He's not going to do that very often.
Melvin.
In fact, Melvin was 1 for 6. In fact, Allen could go 5 of 7 from three-point range very easily. So you go 17 of 27 from the free throw line. You make 5 more of those. It's a different game. But nonetheless, we're not making excuses. Like I wrote last night, it looked like a stinker. It smelled like a stinker. That thing was an absolute stinker.
Well, I was encouraged by seeing Chris Babb hit big shots at the end of the game.
Why don't people talk about him?
He gets overshadowed. Chris Allen's there. McGee comes off the bench and shoots well. But you had a couple bright spots. Chris Babb made a couple big shots for us behind the line, behind the 3-point line, and Royce was dominant.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he needs more touches. He doesn't look polished around the basket yet, but still, you get him the ball down low. If he's scoring like he's shown the capability of, it frees up the shooters. Let's talk a little football again here at Mr. B Clothing, 1995 Northwest 86th Street in Clive. Notice, Austin, when we walked in, we got Christmas stuff up.
It's that time of year.
It is the season, indeed, here at Mr. B. All right, football, Brandon Weeden, Oklahoma State rolls into town.
Hot Oklahoma State team.
Yeah, it's smoking hot Oklahoma State team. This offense is one of the best I've ever seen. I think in my lifetime of doing this, at least.
Consistently, they're the best week in and week out of anybody in college football offensively.
I'm going to ask you a pretty unfair question.
Okay.
Because nobody...
You usually do, so.
Well, that's what I do. Nobody's figured this out yet this year. Guys who make a lot more money than you and me to specifically figure this out can't figure it out.
Should we just take their jobs?
What do you do with Brandon Weeden? I mean, for real, I think we're both in agreement. We talked about it. I put it up for my Channel 13 deal that you'll see on Wednesday night. Offensively, I want to see Iowa State just go nuts.
Yeah.
Trick
Special
plays.
teams too.
Trick plays. Just have some fun. Nothing to lose. But defensively, eventually, if you're going to win, you're going to have to create a few turnovers, and you're going to have to get a couple of stops at the very least. If you're Wally Burnham, What's your game plan? Well, how do you slow this offense down?
You get pressure, and you try and manufacture as many ways to get pressure on them as you can, whether that's bringing a corner, bringing a safety, mixing it up and giving variations of defensive looks that can make Brandon Whedon sometimes, have happy feet in the pocket. That's what goes to lead to turnovers. And the thing that's interesting about this game is that Oklahoma State, I think they lead the nation in takeaways.
They do.
So we're going to have to take care of that football, and if we plan on executing and winning this game, we can't turn it over, and we've got to force turnover, something that Oklahoma State does well as an entire club.
Oklahoma State has, I believe, 34 forced turnovers this year. The next highest in college football is 29.
Yeah, and
I believe
everyone
like
wants
South
to talk
Carolina
about,
and Rutgers are those two teams.
everyone wants to talk about how good their offense is. Their defense is pretty dang good too.
Yeah, and the thing about their defense, people just look at the yards they give up. Well, they're on the field a lot because their offense scores so darn quickly.
Yep.
So those defensive stats are pretty skewed. They, in a weird way, I think you compare them to your guys' defense in 2009, just with the amount of takeaways. You guys won a lot of games because of that.
Yeah.
And while that's not necessarily why
No.
Oklahoma State is winning, it sure helps.
Yeah, and the reoccurring factor to me is going to be turnovers, like I said, but Oklahoma State I think is going to have a mindset on defense to come out and try and stop the run, because that's if you look at our tape, I mean we are what we are. We put running plays on film and zone plays and zone reads, trying to variate the run game as much as we can possibly. But Oklahoma State's going to come out and say, I think they're going to come out and say, Jared Barnett, Money Reynolds, Darius Starks, Josh Lenz, Aaron Horn, you guys are going to have to beat us, because they're going to stack that box. They're they're a 4-3 team that likes to play quarters coverage, cover 4, and let those corners kind of sag off. So as much as we can kind of dink and dunk them down the field and get to the end zone would be great. But they're going to set out 7 to 8 guys in the box and try and stop us.
All right, that's Austin's thoughts. You can hear more of them 7 to 8 on 1460 KXNO from Kippy's Place in Elkhart. Now we're gonna have a big crowd there. Actually, I've had some guys email me asking me what time they need to get there to get some seats.
Nothing better than Kippy's on Thursday nights.
Man,
I look forward to it so much.
Gonna take down a Fireburger coming up on Thursday. I said Saturday. Friday, the final Wilson Toyota pregame show of the season. Tron and I and Austin will be jumping on. I have an Oklahoma State blogger who's going to talk with us over the phone. We'll be on from 4 to 5. Drive time 1460 KXNO, just north of the Jacobson building. Again, that's a Wilson Toyota production. So we appreciate their sponsorship. We appreciate Tim Sitzman and all the good people here at Mr. B Clothing. We wish Tim to get well soon, and we can't wait to see him back in the store. Come do some holiday shopping at 1995 Northwest 86th Street in Clive, Iowa. For Austin, I'm Chris. So long, everybody.